I've been in networking for over a decade and decided to make some content to try to help others understand this industry. So let's talk about how one device would send information to another device. So in this example, we'll have one endpoint here. It's going to be a computer, we'll call it PCA. And it has some message or piece of information that it wants to send to another device, and we'll make that another computer. We'll call that PCB. Now we're going to pick up this communication flow where we're going down the OSI model. So layer 7 is done, layer 6 is done, layer 5 is done. This message now is at layer 4, the transport layer, and this is a segment. So that segment needs to be handed down to layer 3. Well, layer 3 is the network layer, and the addressing that we use at layer 3 is IP addressing. So we need some information at this point. We need to know the layer 3 address of both these endpoints. We need to know source and destination. So PCA has an IP address of 1.1.1.1/24, and it needs to know the address of PCB. So that happens to be 1.1.1.2/24. So they're on the same network. So now the segment gets handed down to the network layer. The network layer has to put its header on it. And so there's our header, kind of puts it in that envelope, and it has a source IP address of 1.1.1.1 since PCA is sending this, and the destination IP address is 1.1.1.2 because it's going to PCB. So now this is a packet, since it has that layer 3 header on it. It hands it down to layer 2. So at layer 2, we need addressing here. Well, this is Ethernet, so we're going to be using MAC addresses. So we need to know the MAC address of the source and destination. So the MAC address for PCA is just going to be all A's. I'm not going to read off 12 A's and just make it simple. And the MAC address for PCB is just going to be all B's. So now at layer 2, we can add that header onto it. And we have our source MAC address of all A's, our destination MAC address of all B's. This is now a frame at layer 2, and it gets handed down to the physical layer. Well, right now, we don't have a physical layer between these. They're just two machines sitting there. So we can connect a cable between them. So this is just an Ethernet cable. And now we have a physical connection for these electrical signals to go across. So PCA now sends that message across to PCB. PCB receives those electrical pulses, converts them back into bits, and starts looking at the layer 2 header. At this point, the frame header shows that it has a destination MAC address of all B's. Well, PCB is that destination. It has all B's for its MAC address, so it knows that this is destined for me. So it can now unwrap that. It takes off the layer 2 header, and now it looks at the packet. On the packet, we see there's a destination IP address of 1.1.1.2. PCB says, hey, that's my address. I am the layer 3 destination for this. And so it can take that header off and now look at the segment and then reveal the rest of the message all the way up through the rest of the layers. So that's how information would get from two endpoints that want to send information.